With that, I mean, is it okay for a woman to approach you? How do you guys feel about that? About a woman, like meaning she might like you or be into you or feeling you, like because I know you said you're old fashioned. How would you feel about that? Like if a woman approached you?
I don't necessarily like that. You know, I feel like if I have something to say, I'll approach you.
You will approach.
You know,
Okay.
that's just me. I mean, that's me.
Okay, I respect that. I mean, what about you, Mike?
Yes.
What yes is in? It's okay for a woman to approach you?
Yes.
See, generational thing. So it's okay. So you don't see any problem or, and I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. It's more preference. It's just what a guy preferences and why. So, because I know you said it's a personal thing. You said you're traditional, you're old school. And then what about you? You're saying yes, like it's cool. A woman can approach me. So like, why? You're like,
why? Why? Is it?
You just that's not a.
I mean, just it's cool. It don't bother me one way or another.
So one way or another, it doesn't bother you.
Yeah.
Because I mean, one of the things that and actually, audience at this point, if somebody has a burning comment about this or anything said up until this point, feel free to chime in. But I just think as a woman, one of the things, or at least that we were taught, I'll just say my generation of women, one of the things we were taught was that you just don't approach a man. That's like, it comes off as being a little desperate or whatever. You allow the man to approach you. But I must say that the younger women.
But you strong and independent though.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
It's just something about being courted that my generation, we were taught you want to be courted. You want the guy to approach you. You don't approach the guy. But I don't know. It's a generation of women where, I mean, it appears to be that they approach the guys. Now, does anybody have a question or a comment about this or anything that we said? You guys are like laughing.
So that brings up a very interesting question because a lot of times, I hear all this stuff about women. There's so many black women with like MDs, JDs, all these degrees and stuff. I'm first of all, I'm gonna tell you, well, show me, because I want to be there where they at. That's where I want to be. And then second of all, the ones that we'll talk later. So another thing about it is too is like we automatically assuming that like what I'm saying, like that the men, that there ain't no men who got something going on too. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gonna be very difficult for me to find somebody who matches my education or my career path and be black. You know what I'm saying? Just to be frankly honest. I design instruments for robotic surgery. Yes, there are a lot of women who get there who have a lot of women have more degrees than the men, but like that's not necessarily like all men are just like 2 steps behind. But behind women. And my last girlfriend, she had her PhD in human factors engineering, and she had her doctorate. She was like she worked at Intel. She was really like fantastic at her job, like fantastic. I'm here to say that. And like, if anything, that made us stronger because we was both like about it. We was both gonna go get it, and we was both like, we was both like churning the wheels, like, like I moved forward so much faster from being with her, learning from her, and vice versa. So I felt like it was a mutual situation. Like I really like, it's just really hard for me to fathom the idea that like somebody is just not gonna deal with you because you are so far beyond their measure that they don't want to they don't want to be with you now, but they're gonna strive to be at your level. Man, like by the time they at your level, you're gonna be gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just really hard for me to understand. I mean, she made more money than me. she had more advanced degree, but like that was like the first time out of my whole dating experience.
So basically, it sounds like what you're saying then is that there are qualified men that are out there. So it's almost like we need to perhaps kind of not unlearn, but we need to like, okay, now we know better, we need to do better. And you know, there's nothing wrong with being a strong black woman, because I totally am like feeling exactly what you said, because you know, I was raised, you know, pretty much the same way, like
you know, I could date a blue collar man. I'm just using titles, but that's not really my focus. But I'm worried about, as I get older, the insecurity in the man. Because if I'm well read, if I like to travel, I'm already coming with some things, and then I'm a good person. I know how to cook and clean and keep a house, but you already insecure, and I gotta teach you all this stuff in the courtship. You're not even my husband. Like, I'm good. Like, why would I want to do all that? It's like a work.
Can I say something?
yeah, of course,
First of all, it get a little twisted when you start talking about levels. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you're equal, no matter what you do. You know, I work at the hospital. I talk to the CEO of Cato. He's a black man. He make $9 million a year. A lot of our Caucasian brothers at work, you know, they hate on that. But I'm just saying, at the end of the day, he's still a man.
Right.
You know, we talk. There is no levels. I understand that people are ambitious, but when you come home, at the end of the day, it's you and your woman.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? All of that goes out the door. I talk to our chief nursing officer all the time. She said, when I go home. Because me and her have a conversation. She said, when I go home, she said, I have to take this title off and realize that I'm not a chief nursing officer at home. That's my husband.
Amen.
And I have to respect him. And he is the head of the household.
Right.
So you got to it's kind of like a fine line, you know, on what you do. You can be ambitious. You may love to travel, and the dude, he may be a great dude, but he may not want to travel. But I'm just saying, though. He may not be the one. But I'm just saying, no matter who you get with, if he's a great guy, he's a great guy. He may not have the same interests as you all the time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But still, though, we discount people for the wrong reasons. Yeah. You know, and that mess up a whole lot of stuff.
That's a good point. He brought up a good point, and I can totally relate to what you're saying, because I just wanted to highlight kind of for the show and the audience, because you did say something key. You talked about cultural differences, and as I was saying, I hate to make things about race, and it's really not about race, but it's just about culture and how people are raised. And a lot of times we as black women are raised to be strong black women, but as I said before, we have to learn how to unlearn perhaps some of the stuff that we were taught and learn how to put things in their proper perspective, because then Ron said something very key. When you come home, all the titles go out the window. It's not about what's mine and what's his, it's ours. So you are not coming home as a VP or a CEO or whatever. You're coming home as a wife, and you throw all the titles and who makes what out the window. So really, for all the single women, you just have to trust and believe God. And it's something that I talk about in the book, that the Lord, He knows the desires of your heart, but more importantly, He knows what you need, and He will bless you with what you need when you're ready.
So I think it is important for us to know ourselves and to identify what's important to us and what's important in a relationship. What are the key things that we need in a relationship? So if something key to me is that our finances are together, or that we both have some of the same goals as far as working on our retirement plans, or having long-term savings and understanding the importance of that. That's important to me. So it's important that my mate is on the same page, and some things are, I don't want to reteach at my age. There's some expectations that I have of a man, especially at my age. It kind of goes back to earlier where, I expect that if you're, in your 35s, maybe if you're in your younger 20s or younger 30s, okay, maybe there's some wiggle room for you to not fully understand the importance of, having your finances together, having your credit score together, having a savings, long and short term or whatever. But then when you start getting older, your man or whoever, you could be a great person, you could just be the greatest guy as far as other things are concerned, good manners, gentleman, was raised right. But if you don't have certain things that are important to me like that, then that could mean that we're not compatible, as great as you are. Because that is important to me. I mean, I want a certain quality of life, and especially if that is something that I made sacrifices in my younger years to have. Sometimes a woman can be accused of beating her man up or putting them down or something because of those expectations that we have of them, or they may feel like, we're nagging. It could just really be like just this frustration because here I fell in love with this really great guy, but then there's this area to where he doesn't have it together, and here I started by being really nice about it, saying that, hey, we need to get it together if you don't, and maybe so much time passed and you still don't got it together and you don't understand the importance, and that could create some real questions about, am I in the, it just can really cause questions about, God, is this the person? Because like you said, God knows my heart and he knows what I really, really desire and where I'm trying to go, my ambitions, and what's very important. So I don't know if that's clear, but I guess I'm just saying that there's a fine line. I don't want to cross, there's a fine line with, like Ron mentioned, when you come home, you put your titles aside. When you come home, it's just, husband and wife or male, female in a relationship, and, you respect them and everything. But there's that, but then there's also me coming home knowing that we're on the same page as far as knowing the importance of the quality of life that we want to have in 20 years when we retire, or the money we have saved for the vacation that we want to take, that I like to take every year. I need it for a mental break. Or the difference between long-term, short-term savings, or the importance of a good credit score, or knowing that the world where we live in, it has changed. It's more competitive now economically. So if we're not where we want to be and we don't want to get pushed out of the Bay Area, what's our plan? So what's our goals? Do you have a budget? I mean, those things are important to me, and I just feel like those are things that I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to dumb myself down to a level, or I'm not going to come down to a lower standard than those expectations. And I feel like that shouldn't make me a wrong person, and it shouldn't make me a person that is naggy because I have those standards.
I think I totally get what you're saying, is that, you have a certain level of expectations, and it's nothing wrong. We all have expectations, and you're absolutely right. You shouldn't have to compromise, what you desire. You shouldn't, I mean, I didn't compromise either. But again, I think for us all, whether it be male or female, men and women, I think when we're talking about, being married and wanting to go to the next level with somebody, we need to take an assessment of self. And self is internally, and we need to look at everything, look at our finances, look at our credit, just assess our career. It's not just the women, it's not one-sided. And although when I wrote my book, it's geared towards women, but on the flip side, men should be doing the exact same things. My husband, I wish he was more of a writer, but he has like his own testimony of, here I was, praying and fasting and getting myself together, but then my husband over here, whom at the time I didn't even know, it was just a casual acquaintance, he had been married before and divorced and had a daughter from a previous marriage, but he was getting himself prepared for a wife. So he had goals in mind. He knew that he wanted to remarry. He knew that he had made some mistakes in his first marriage. He didn't just blame it all on, it was my ex-wife, it was my ex-wife. He came to the table clean. It was like, it was both of us. But he was like, I'm at a different place in my life. I'm at a different place in my walk with Christ. I feel like I've grown. I feel like I'm ready to remarry. So he took some time himself to get where he needed to be to remarry. So I think it goes both ways for both men and women. The men don't get a pass, at all. As Ron even mentioned, it's even more pressure on the men to have it together when you are ready to marry. So again, I just go back to, for me, some things that, grandmother, mother, and great-grandmother taught us, they were great, but I think you mentioned we live in a different time now. We live in a different time, and more than anything, we need to, look at what God's word says, and we need to pull from God's word, and, let a man be a man, and we don't have to compromise. I truly believe that whoever God has ordained for you, he will meet you where you are. He will be what you need him to be. So with that, as we get ready to wrap up, I just want to put the guys on the hot seat once again. And you're trying to run, but you can't run because I'm going to grab you. But you two are, seem to be very eligible. And I just want to ask you, why are you single? Why are you still single? You kind of alluded to it, and you've already said that you've been married. But I still just want to ask, why are you single? You're not remarried right now?
No, that's her right there.
Oh, yeah.
I did want to go back to something about unlearned because of things that we were taught. So I did come up in a household where the ladies were very independent and very judgmental. And so when Ron and I did get together and it started getting serious, that is one thing that I shared with him, is that I need him to help me to be able to put some of that down and to be, I'm all my life, I'm so used to being independent. Right. So we literally had the discussion to where I need you to bear with me as I learn to trust you, because I didn't want to carry the weight of being so independent. And I remember him saying, it's okay, baby, I'll work with you through this. And so that's what we did. And I still, struggle, with the strong personality, because I have did everything for my kids before he came along. So I'm used to holding down a household. So, there was that discussion about that, help me if I seem like I'm crossing a line, or, disrespecting your manhood, or doing more, of what you feel like you should be doing. So it worked out pretty well, so you just have to be open with that person. And if it's the right person, I believe that they will work with us, because they can understand that, okay, if you've been holding down a household for 15 years by yourself, then and you did everything, then, what do you need me for the most part? Or, so, it's a work in progress, and it takes someone to be able to work with you, and you guys to just communicate about that. Help me to be a woman again. Help me to be in tune with who I was created to be. The soft woman, to where, I do my womanly duties, because I gladly wanted to pass the torch. Please take over and be the man. Right. So just wanted to kind of comment on that.
And that's a good point. That's a good point. And I'm glad you mentioned that it worked both ways, that you recognize that you have a very strong personality, and how you opened yourself up to be vulnerable and told him, help me work through this, and I think sometimes we as black women, we don't want to be vulnerable, and we need to be. And it's nothing wrong. It's not about being weak or anything like that, but it's okay to be vulnerable and let people know, especially somebody that you think you would want to marry, to just let them know, you're perhaps insecure in an area, or that, you don't have to have it all together, although I know you do. But it's okay to be vulnerable and show that side of yourselves. And I don't think I heard you before we wrap up, but why are you still single? Is it because you're young, tender?
Just because I'm still seeing what's out there.
Okay, so the options, you still checking out the options.
They're seeing what's going on.
Exactly. I got it. That's real. Due diligence is something that not enough single women do, or men. When you're dating somebody, that's part of dating is what? Collecting data. It's not, you're not dating to do a whole 90-day thing to jump to the bedroom. You're dating because you're collecting data. And that's really key. I'm so glad you said that, the whole due diligence when you're dating. I think a lot of times when we date with the wrong motive in mind. So if you're out there dating and it's all about a game, it's all about, and I'll get your question, and it's all about, you know, a 90-day rule and how long you're going to hold out to have sex, I mean, it becomes a game at that point. And if you're going deeper than wanting to play this game with a man, if you're really out there, and there's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, I ultimately desire to be married. Nothing is wrong with that. You got to get yourself out of the whole dating game, and you got to have priorities, and you got to know why you're dating, and you got to date with purpose. And that is key, what you said, is due diligence. You should be dating to collect data. Is this the man that I want to spend the rest of my life with? So you're asking the right questions, you're digging. My husband always tell a joke, but he was serious. I did a background check on him. Hello? And this was pre-Facebook, when they let all of us old people get on Facebook. And I did a background check on him. He was telling me all this stuff about how he was divorced and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I know his first name, I know his last name. I got a little bit of a legal background. Let me go dig in some files and see if he really divorced from his wife. So, I did a whole lot of due diligence. So again, you know, when you're dating somebody, you want to do your due diligence. You want to find out as much information about them as you can. There's nothing wrong with talking about, you know, like she said, do you have a younger sister? You want to know birth order. What kind of relationship do you have with your mother? You know, what kind of relationship, you know, do you have with your brothers, your sisters, your siblings? I always tell women, a man is not going to treat you any better than he treats his own mother. If he hates his mother, you know what? If he disrespects his own mother, he's gonna probably disrespect you too. Because if he doesn't even know how to treat the woman that brought him into the world, what makes you think he's gonna treat you any better? So to me, that was very important to me. You know, this guy that wants to date me, I wanna know what kind of relationship does he have with his mom? You know, does he respect her? Does he talk to her and treat her with respect? Because he ain't gonna treat me better than he treat his own mom. And
I'm single, never been married, and I put a lot of trust in relationships, and it just seems to me is that, you know, they're not the same person that they were a year ago or 5 years ago. So how do you deal with ever changing people's personalities through death, grief, rejection, and just trying times economically? So I mean, what's really important here? Is it communication? Is it love? Is it the bonding?
I would say just gotta talk and communicate. You know, when you talk to somebody, you kind of get a feel of the person that you're talking to. You know what I'm saying? I'm a man of God, so if I'm talking to you, I'll ask you something like, do you go to church? You know, I'll talk to you about things in the Bible. You know, just that conversation. If you get uncomfortable about that, I might feel like, you know, this ain't the one, because she's not going the way I'm trying to go. You know what I'm saying? And trying to do the things that I want to do, you know, for us with my life. So you got to keep the lines of communication open. You got to talk about it. A lot of times, a lot of people out here are fake. You know, it's all about a facade. I drive an S500 and it's paid for, okay? But at the end of the day, I'll help anybody. You know, if you're homeless, you can get in my car. If you got it going on like this sister right here talks about, you know what I'm saying? Then you can ride with me. It don't matter. All of that stuff don't mean nothing at the end of the day to me personally. But you have to talk. You know, saying she talks. We talk a lot. You know, she talks about stuff I might not even want to hear, but it's gonna help me. So I gotta take that medicine, even though it don't taste good. You know, but it's good for me. You know what I'm saying? I gotta let my pride down as a man, and I gotta. If I want to be with this woman and we're gonna go the same direction, there's some stuff that she may know that I don't know, even though I'm older than her. You know, I have to respect her as a woman. And you just got to keep talking. You got to keep communicating. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, even though it's hard, people change over the years. People change. You know what I'm saying? But you just got to keep talking. You know, and as you keep talking, you'll find out who you're really with. You know, what makes or breaks a person. You know, if they have faith or not. You know, all of that as you communicate. But you got to keep the lines of communication open. A lot of times when it's something that's bothering, you know, one of you ladies, then you might not even tell her. You know what I'm saying? We don't even know what you're thinking, but you mad at us. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what you're thinking. You know what I'm saying? But we about our way. We think everything is fine, but we don't even know you're mad at me. Now you're mad at me about this. Then you put something else on top of that. I do something else wrong. I don't even know I'm doing something wrong, and you won't even tell me. But then you talk on the phone, you know, talking to your girlfriend like, he didn't even do this, or he didn't even remember this. You know, but you got to tell us. You got to talk to us. You got to let people know, you know, how you feel, you know, and not let that stuff fester, because that ruins relationships.
And I just want to add to what Ron said. You have to keep the lines of communication open. And, you know, I just look at it like this. It's better to know now versus later, because it's nothing more trying or telling than when a person is going through adversity, how they're going to act in a relationship. I mean, when things are going great, it's easy to show a person your best self. You know, when you're making a lot of money, you haven't experienced hardship, or you haven't had to deal with adversity, we can all show our best selves. But when you're dealing with the death of a parent, or the death of a close friend, or you're dealing with you lost your job, or the economy, or just whatever, you're dealing with adversity, that's when our true colors come out. That's when, you know, it's how do we deal with adversity, and is this the person that can walk through this with me? You know, while my husband and I, while we were married, we were a few years in, had a small baby, and his mom passed away. It was a very trying time, but, you know, the Lord is all knowing. He knew that his mom would pass away, and unfortunately, several years prior, my mom had passed away. And I was single, so I went through the death of my mom, you know, as a single woman by myself. But I'll never forget something that my husband's stepfather said to me. He was like in an interesting way, he was like, I'm glad my son has you to go through this with, because you've gone through it before. And I understood the grieving process. Although my husband didn't tell me that he was hurting, or that something would trigger, you know, a memory in him and how he dealt with it, I knew what he was going through, because I knew what it felt like to lose a mom. And, you know, when it would be some trying times, I'm like, you know what, he's grieving, and you gotta, you know, give a person space, or you gotta just give them whatever they need. Choose somebody who you can grow with, and who's authentic, who's not phony, because dating is very phony. We all show our best selves when we're dating. So you just gotta, you know, you have to choose wisely. So I'd like to thank everybody for coming out this evening. I'd like to give a special thank you to the Onyx Black Professional Networking Group. We're at the Louisiana Bistro in San Jose, California. We had a good time. Let's give it up for these men. Woo! Thank you, guys.
I just want to thank you guys once again for tuning in. And remember, the past is history, the future is mystery, today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. Thank you.
Free from my depression, put my faith inside your love. Now I'm reaching for my blessing.
'Cause he died and he rose, he's alive, this I know. I'm crossing over, I crossed over, I put the crossover, over everything.
So I'm free from crying, free from my depression, put my faith inside your love. Now I'm reaching for my blessing.
I'm crossing over, I crossed over, I put the crossover, over everything.